All right, welcome to the Lincoln City Council meeting of September 27th, 2021. In accordance with LB 898, please be advised that a copy of the Open Meetings Act is posted at the back of the chamber by the northwest door. Let us all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief period of silent meditation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The order of business of the City Council is as follows. The clerk will call the items listed on the agenda. Under public hearing, anyone wishing to speak on an item should come forward after the clerk reads that item. The council shall require any member of the public desiring to address the council to identify themselves, the name of an organization or group, including an address, that you may be representing by such person or group, unless the address requirement is waived to protect the security of the individual. The applicant may then make one short rebuttal. Each speaker should begin by stating their name, address, organization, or group, and whether you are speaking in favor or in opposition to the item. Testimony is limited to 5 minutes per speaker. After all public hearings, the council will vote on resolutions and items under third reading. On the second and last Mondays of the month, which is today, immediately prior to adjournment, anyone may speak on any issue not on the agenda for that date nor planned for a future agenda. Will the clerk please call the first item of business?
For Monday, September 27th, 2021 council meeting, a notation: due to Columbus Day and Indigenous Peoples Day, City Council will not meet on Monday, October 11th, 2021. Our first items on our agenda are sections 1 and 2.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on any of these items?
Hello. Adele Burke from the Mayor's Office, and I am here to introduce briefly Eric Ryder, who is a Mayor's Office nominee to serve on the Commission on Women and Gender. Eric has done a lot of contributions to our community. Right now they work for the food bank, and they are a network coordinator at the food bank. They have been involved with Leadership Lincoln, with the Young Nonprofit Professionals Network, and with New Leaders Council. So we're really excited for that breadth of experience that Eric would be bringing to the Commission on Women and Gender. Thank you.
Well, as Adele said, my name is Eric Ryder, and I just want to say thank you to the City Council for the opportunity to speak today, and to Adele and Mayor Lyrian for appointment to the Commission on Women and Gender. I also want to thank Kathy Ermacher and everyone already serving on the commission for making me feel very welcome and included thus far in the process. I'm extremely appreciative of the opportunity to serve my community in this capacity and to fulfill a personal aspiration towards public service. As a member of the LGBTQ+ community and an openly transgender and non-binary person, folks like myself have been traditionally excluded from having a seat at the table. I'm excited to see us move past using terms like diversity, equity, and inclusion as buzzwords and shift from starting conversations to taking steps to make those concepts tangible and actionable. I'm appreciative of this privilege and responsibility I have in being appointed to this position, and hope that I am but merely a drop in the bucket in terms of representation of transgender and non-binary people going forward. Again, thank you for this opportunity, and I look forward to serving.
Are there any questions or comments for Eric at this time?
No, thank you for your service.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything that you do and bringing your leadership to our city. It's people like you that help our city stay strong and represented. So thank you for being willing to put yourself out there and be a leader for other people to follow. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on any of these items? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on this item. Item 1A is appointing Eric Ryder to the Commission on Women and Gender for a term to expire November 23rd, 2022, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 1B is Investment Activity Report for quarter ending August 31st, 2021, introduced by Schob.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay, we can move on to our Section 2, Public Hearing Liquor Resolutions. I'll be calling items 2A and 2B together. Application of the Still South Lincoln LLC doing business as the Still for a Class CK liquor license located at 6820 South 70th Street, and the related manager application of Aaron Weist.
Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Please just state your name and your address, please.
Good evening, council members and staff. My name is Aaron Weiss, and I'm an owner and operations manager for The Still, a retail wine and liquor store located at 6820 South 70th Street in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yay.
We have acquired the store and inventory formerly belonging to Jomar Inc., doing business as The Still. Those owners, John and Jackie Barker, have sold their property and business to us. We are operating as The Still South Lincoln, a limited liability company, and are applying for a CK class liquor license. I've personally worked for The Still for nearly 20 years, almost all of those in a management capacity. We intend to continue conducting business in the same manner as previously with regard to all Nebraska and Lincoln liquor regulations. We welcome any questions.
Are there any questions at this time from the council?
Congratulations.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next item.
I'll be calling items 2C and 2D together. Application of Mindy's Nails, Inc., doing business as Mindy's Nails for a Class I liquor license located at 5840 Baboli Lane, and the related manager application of Du Min Lee.
Hi, my name is Tu Min Lee, and I'm an applicant and manager for the application of Mindy Nails. The address is 5840 Boboli Lane, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68516. And is any question for me?
Are there any questions at this time?
I don't have any.
Councilman Schob?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for coming forward. So, help me understand the nail salon and the liquor license. What exciting opportunities are going on there? What do you plan to do as far as liquor sales?
Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm her spouse,
Hi,
and I can answer that for her.
please.
We would like to take our business to another level, whereas we can use a new salon as a more of a relaxation, and with that, we can offer a minimal amount of alcohol. We're not a full-blown wet bar or anything, just a little bit goes with the pedicures, and if they prefer. So,
That's what I was hoping you'd say. So while I'm there getting my nails done, I can have a glass of wine.
correct. And everything is under control, and we're not selling any liquor at all. It goes with the pedicure package.
Just the full spa treatment, the
Correct.
respite, yeah. Okay, that's what I thought you were doing. I just wanted to hear it out loud. Thank you.
Any further questions from the council at this time? Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for coming down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this application? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to the next one.
I'll be calling item 2E, manager application of Brooke R. Seacrest for TDP Phase 2 LLC, doing business as Hyatt Place Lincoln Haymarket located at 600 Q Street.
Good afternoon. Brooke Seacrest with the Hyatt Place Lincoln. I took over as general manager about 4 months ago. I've been with the hotel for about 3 years now, and hopefully for a lot longer. So this is new to me, so if you have any questions, please let me know.
Are there any questions from the council? Councilwoman Washington?
I see that you are still planning to attend the training. Have you been to the
Yes.
training yet?
Yes, I have
Okay.
scheduled on October 14th for that, so is the next date available
Okay.
for it.
Thank you.
Any further questions from the council?
No questions?
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Then good luck.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this application? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next one.
I'll be calling item 2F, manager application of Jennifer L. Lockhart Lust for RT Omaha Franchise LLC, doing business as Ruby Tuesday, located at 2700 North Hill Road.
Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Anyone here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to the next one.
Item 2G is manager application of Kinsey A. Bosselman for Bosselman Pump and Pantry, Inc., doing business as Pump and Pantry 09, located at 345 West O Street.
Investigator Parker?
Yeah, Investigator Scott Parker, 575 South 10th Street. The applicant contacted me over the weekend and then subsequently this morning. There's a medical issue going on. She really wanted to be here, but she wanted me to at least let you all know.
Are there any questions for Investigator Parker? Councilwoman Washington?
Is the application moving forward, or is it
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, it's moving forward, just a family medical
Okay.
thing going on.
Thank you very much.
Any further questions for Investigator? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, Councilman Cho.
Mr. Chair, seeing no one else coming forward and after hearing testimony from everyone, I'd like to move approval of items 2A through 2G.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Shope, seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington? Yes. McGinnis?
Yes.
Beckius?
Yes.
Schob?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. We'll move on to our Section 3 public hearing resolutions. I will be calling items 3A, 3B, and 3C together. Approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Amalgamated Transit Union for a term effective August 19, 2021 through August 31st, 2024. Also approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the International Association of Firefighters for a term effective August 19, 2021 through August 31st of 2023. And item 3C is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Lincoln M-Class Employees Association for a term effective August 19, 2021 through August 31st, 2022.
Good afternoon, Council. Doug McDaniel, Human Resources. We have 3 labor contracts to bring before you on public hearing. I'll briefly go over some of the items of note for each contract. The first one with ATU, Amalgamated Transit Union. This is a 3-year contract. The wages for those 3 years are 6% in the first year, 3% in the second, and 3% in the third year. There are increases to the longevity pay. Also of note, we've added the Juneteenth holiday. There's language changes in terms of voluntary overtime. It will no longer be paid at the premium rate of time and a half unless the individual reaches the 40-hour work week as required by Fair Labor Standards Act, and some adjustments in the use of video for disciplinary matters. Any questions from you on the ATU contract?
Are there any questions for Director McDaniels? Seeing none, thank you.
I'll move on to the IAFF, International Association of Firefighters. That contract is a 2-year duration. The first year wages is 4.75% increase. The second year is 4.0% increase. We do also change what we call wage augments for the medic unit pay. It's increased from 40 cents per hour to 75 cents per hour. We add the Juneteenth holiday. Gains in this particular contract, or rather changes in language. Sick leave will no longer count as hours worked for the purposes of calculating overtime. Any questions on this contract?
Any questions at this time? Okay, seeing none.
The last contract is LMCEA. It's a duration of just 1 year. Wages for this 1-year contract is 4.5% increases. We have moved 2 positions in the pay ranges. The parking manager moves from M3 to M4, and the animal control manager moves from M3 to M6. We add the Juneteenth holiday. There are some changes to the composition of the bargaining unit, which will be clarified in a petition to the CIR.
Are there any questions for Director McDaniels?
sir.
Seeing none, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on items 3A, 3B, or 3C? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 3D is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 21017, application of the Urban Development Director for a proposed amendment to the Wayuka redevelopment plan that identifies the Gatehouse Rose redevelopment project for the construction of 98 affordable residential units on property generally located between Vine and O Streets, east of 36th Street and west of the Wayuka Cemetery.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. I believe what you have before you is basically cleanup, and we've had this happen a couple of other times since I've been in as Urban Development Director. And state law allows a de minimis amount of adjustment in tax increment financing of 5%. In this particular case, the amount's going from $1.61 million to $2 million, and that is simply because as they move into the project and understand the costs associated, the amount of investment that's going in here, which is $19.5 million, the calculation on the amount of the increment changes, which is what you have before you today. Happy to answer any questions, and I know that Mr. Hoppy is here as well.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin? Councilman Cho?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Marvin, thank you for coming forward. You didn't elaborate a lot on the state allowable was 5 or 0.5?
5%.
And
so
this is
in
a
other
point-
words, that would allow a wiggle room of about $80,000.
And we're moving to about 0.39 million, right?
And this one would move from 1.61 to $2 million.
So it's not that, yeah.
More than 5%, which is why we're here.
Any other questions for Director Marvin? Councilman McGinnis?
This is a developer-funded TIF project?
This would be developer purchase TIF, and developer purchase TIF. Thank you for asking that question. What that means is that the developer is going to go to a bank, borrow the money, and the money that they will borrow that will then go towards the public improvements that are outlined in the sources and uses. Those sources and uses are yet to come forward to you in a redevelopment agreement that's shortly headed this way. But I think what's good for the public to know is that some of those public uses could be sewer and water and road infrastructure investments, and those are dollars that are actually hard dollars that are going into city improvements, and the repayment of that indebtedness will be either paid for through the increment is created on this investment or through an obligation that will be put and passed forward onto the developer.
Any further questions for Director Marvin? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Mr. Hoppy, would you like to come up?
Sure.
Fred Hoppy, 1600 Stony Hill Road, Lincoln, Nebraska. Hoppy and Sons is the developer of this project. It's Gatehouse Rose, 98 units of low-income housing. We asked for an increase. The money that we're getting for tax increment financing is going primarily to public improvements that, well, it always goes to semi-public improvements, but in this case, it's doing Q Street, it's doing 36th Street. We're increasing the water so that I think we're taking it from a 4-inch service over on that side of Hartley to a 6-inch is my understanding. And so really the TIF's coming back to the city in spades. You know, it's a cleanup, if you will. It's kind of a cushion for us because we're not sure what ultimately the numbers are going to come out as in any case. And I'd certainly answer any questions you have with regard to this.
Are there any questions for Mr. Hoppy?
Nope.
Councilwoman Washington?
I don't have any questions, but I want to thank you because moving from a 4 to 6 inch water line is a huge improvement for the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think it's going to, you know, I've said all along, this is going to be an improvement to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Anyway, thanks.
Any further questions for Mr. Hoppy?
No.
Okay, seeing none, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on this item? Yeah, come on up.
Hi, my name is Kirk Barber, and I live at 3303 R Street. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be here, but me and a lot of the other neighbors have a lot of concerns about the projects that are going to go up by Wayuka Cemetery. And am I at the right place?
Yes, you are.
I am.
Nailed
Okay.
it.
I'm a little ignorant on the way things go here, so please bear with me. A lot of the neighbors, including my wife and myself, we have grandchildren. We're a little concerned about the project coming. Or is there any way that they vet the people that are going in there? I mean, as far as, say, perhaps child offenders or drug dealers and stuff like that, is there a vetting process as to who gets access to the apartments? Or
So you have like 5 minutes to speak, and then yeah.
Okay. And then other concerns is there's a lot of times the traffic through there, all through the night. There's lots of times we have to park about a half a block away just to get to our door. We're both in our 60s. My wife has heart conditions and COPD, and it's going to generate a lot more traffic through that neighborhood. And there's probably going to be even less parking on the streets. That's a concern for us. But those are the two main concerns that me and a lot of the neighbors have, as far as how are we going to know who's moving in? And I know we're not going to know the names or anything like that, but we just have concerns. And we got Hartley School right down on 33rd and Vine, and there's lots of kids in those neighborhoods, and we just would like to know if there's any information we can get as to what the process is for the people that are going to be moving in there. And then the third and final question is, are they going to do any road work that would open up access straight to O Street and straight to Vine Street, so that all of this extra traffic doesn't come right through the neighborhoods? And I think that's about it.
Thank you so much for coming down and sharing your concerns.
Thank you.
Could you repeat your address one more time, sir?
Yeah, your address? Sir? What was your address?
Mr. Barber. 3303 R Street.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none. Director Marvin or Mr. Hoppy, would you like to provide a rebuttal?
I can answer questions 2 and 3. There was a traffic study that was done, and I think that when we were at Planning Commission with this months ago, I think some of the concerns that were expressed were about 35th Street and cut-through traffic. And I think that LTU indicated that they'd be happy to put some striping out there or measure the traffic counts. But the traffic study that was done for 35th Street and the other streets with the development in there was showing that the traffic volumes were less than traffic volumes on equal streets on the other side of 30, which would be west of 33rd Street. So these streets were going to carry the volumes that are typical for residential streets, even with this development in there. The other question was a question about taking a roadway and extending it through the property that would be the Gatehouse Rose property, and then creating connection accesses onto, at that time the discussion was on Vine Street, and LTU did not believe that that kind of a cut through was warranted through the access management policy of the city. So based on that, we haven't really pursued any more discussions on that. But this would be a connection at probably about 36th and Vine, which is about 3 blocks different from the main access, which would be 33rd and Vine.
Councilwoman Washington?
Director Marvin, could you make that point more clear? I can't tell if you were trying to explain that there would not be.
There will not be a access point at 36th and Vine as an alternative to the 33rd and Vine access that's presently there.
So the access right now to Vine remains as it is today, no new cut-throughs onto Vine or onto O Street?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Director Marvin? I think the question that I have for you is, so a traffic study was done that shows that there's going to be less parking than on equal streets.
Less trip counts.
Less trip counts.
Less trip counts.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
So, I mean, the main reason for that is, for the public to understand, is that a typical residential street is going to span a distance of about a mile. These, even though there's an additional number of units, 98 units that are coming in at about 36th Street, the amount of additional units, by virtue of the fact of what's developed east of 36th Street, which is a cemetery, is not generating traffic volumes that are typical of a residential street. So the trip counts are low on R Street, on S Street, and Q Street already, and the added trip counts will still keep the trip counts for those residential areas at levels that are below what would be a typical residential street.
And then the second question, just for clarification, the cut through street, that isn't under the access management policy, which means that if there was a street that was to go in there, it wouldn't be up to the standards that the city has put in place, which sometimes does more harm than good.
Correct. The idea that we would take and divert traffic to 36th and Vine Street, cut through, I don't know if there's a median break there or not, but that then you would be able to make left and right turns at 36th and Vine when you can already do that at a controlled access at 33rd and Vine. It isn't warranted.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Hoppy, did you want to provide a rebuttal also?
I believe there was one that Dan answered questions number 2 and 3. And I think question number 1 was, I'm not sure it was a question, but it was a concern about the vetting of the tenants that would go in place. And in that process, this is a low-income housing tax credit project. And in that, we do a pretty thorough screening regarding incomes of our tenants. But in conjunction with that, we also have a pretty strict application policy, and we do check like police record and other activities, prior occupancies, check with other landlords, previous landlords, and so forth. So we have a pretty high bar as far as, even though maybe our tenants don't make the most money ever, they certainly are the best tenants we can find under the circumstances, and try and run a pretty good ship. And give you an example, we run the Creekside Apartments down at 9th and Military, and I think you'll find that, you know, how we operate the buildings and keep on top of the tenants to make sure they live in the units respectfully is admirable. Number 2, when we did the project, when we set it up and got our land use approvals, which we have completely now, the question before you today is just whether or not to increase the amount of TIF that we could get to pay for the public improvements. I think the numbers we used on parking were 1.5 units per 1.5 parking stalls per unit, not counting the street. And we're putting in 2 new streets, which would be 36th and a block of 36th and a block on Q, which previously I don't believe had been counted in any of the parking counts anywhere. So, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, there are 38 or 40 units on the street there, or maybe more. Maybe Ms. Washington, you might know, but there's a lot of more parking going to go there, and from our understanding, it shouldn't be a traffic problem down there.
Councilman Shob?
Thank you. Mr. Hoppy, just before you walk away, thank you for coming forward again.
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit of confusion. From Mr. Barber's question, I gleaned, will there be a number of units that will be available at 80% of median income? affordable housing, workforce housing, public?
It's 98 units, all 60, or all of the 98 are 60% median income and below.
I think people often confuse that as maybe it's government housing, but I want you to stress that this is a private.
No, this housing's available to anybody as long as they're income qualified below those median income numbers.
And your vetting process is somewhat confidential. Is that fair to say? You don't do public, and the people who rent from you, you don't do things publicly about that. I think Mr. Barber's concern was he'd like to know who's applying to live there.
No,
I don't think you can do that.
That's confidential
Yeah.
between us and them. We're not going to publish the names of who our tenants are.
Yeah, that was.
I mean, I don't mean to. We
No,
certainly
that was
tell people because we have to submit reports about who our tenants are to our banks and different things like that, but it's not public knowledge. And we would accept, any kind of payment. I mean, we don't restrict people that have vouchers. That's
good to hear also.
We're we don't.
Yeah, there's some limits on
where the money
what
comes
information.
from,
Yeah, there are limits on what information you can disclose as a private business. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions for Mr. Hoppy?
No.
Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We had it introduced, we had a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, the applicant then has an opportunity to provide a rebuttal. If there's further questions, please send them in or give us a call.
I can't say anything else?
No, because how the process works is we have the applicant provides an opening, an introduction, then we have a public hearing, and then after the public hearing, they have a chance for rebuttal.
Right.
And so then after that, it closes the public hearing to keep items moving on. But if you have further comments, please email them into the council or give us a call. And all of our email addresses are online. And please.
I would just like to know, can I get some information from these people as to who they had audit the traffic? Because I'd sure like to invite them to spend the night at my house and listen to the traffic and try to find a parking space after midnight at my house, because my street is full.
And I would say if you would send us an email, then we can connect you with our urban development department. So, all right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Please do send us an email, though, so we can get you connected.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Barber.
Okay. We had opening on that. We had a public hearing. We had the rebuttal. We're going to move on to the next item, please.
Item 3E is miscellaneous 21010, application of the Urban Development Director declaring the South 48th Street Corridor redevelopment area, generally located on South 48th between L and A Streets, along with the Tabitha Senior Care Campus as blighted and substandard.
Good evening, Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. This is a project that's kind of like the first stage of multiple times it will be before you to discuss this particular project. With us today is Andrew Willis with Klein Williams. I think he'd like to come up and make a few comments. But just so we kind of understand where the process is, what you have before you today is a blight study that is looking at this particular corridor, which is 48th Street area. The development is up around 48th and L Street. This has been before the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission did have a hearing on this, and they voted 6-0 to find that this was in conformance with the comp plan. And I want to share a couple of maps because I know there's a motion to amend. There was a discussion about this area right here, and the residents through here had thought that maybe a straight line is maybe more appropriate, which would then remove these properties from being in the blight designation. That was the only discussion that occurred at the Planning Commission, and I think before you was a motion to amend to change the blight area. We did receive a note from Hannah Keelan, who did the blight study, and they've reviewed that change, and they do not believe that this in any way affects the conclusions of the blight study. There would still remain blighted and substandard, so I wanted to make special note of that. I might stop there, and we'll let Andrew come up and talk about some of the details of the project, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Are there any questions for Director Marvin at this time?
No.
Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and invite up
Council.
Good evening. Andrew Willis, 233 South 13th Street, Suite 1900, on behalf of Tabitha. Yeah, Director Marvin set it up pretty well. I guess from the blight study perspective, really the key here is, this was created, Tabitha's looking at the, their project right on the corner of 40th and L, and we'll go back to that here in a second, but, and then really looked at, the idea of creating that corridor down 48th Street. Past that, Hannah Keelan, Tim Keelan went to work, created that area. And then Tabitha, we've had multiple meetings with the community, neighborhood associations and neighbors. And through those meetings, that's where those neighbors and really along those 10 parcels there said, well, it just doesn't make sense. We want to be out back and forth. It was good, good communication and a good discussion at multiple meetings. And Tabitha says, well, it's not really necessary for our project. We still have that 48th Street corridor, which is the key to this. And Tim Keelan said, well, it doesn't change my conclusions on blight and substandard. And that's why we were making the request just to amend it to take those 10 properties out. So we're just, and again, just taking 10 residential parcels out of the study, firming up that, kind of squaring off that line. But otherwise no changes to the study itself. And again, it was kind of the conclusion of multiple neighborhood meetings. And so that's really what we're looking at, from and then again, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the blight study with that amendment, and that's what we'd be requesting from you tonight. The project itself, just, really briefly, it's an exciting project, and I'll let Christy from Tabitha speak more to this, but the 4-story residential project with 128 units, it's going to be affordable housing targeted for seniors about 60 to 80% AMI. It's got a real neat concept and mission, and again, I'll step away and let them speak to that, but I'm here happy to answer any questions about the blight study or the amendment.
Councilwoman Washington.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, and thanks for coming down. I just wanted to ask one question, and was this, so the public understands completely, was this blight study requested by Tabitha in order to facilitate a future project proposal?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this was, essentially commissioned by Tabitha. The first step in a potential redevelopment project is making sure that area is blighted and substandard. So that's the first step, is seeing if the area meets the criteria under state law. And so that's where Hannah Keelan is hired. They create the area and look at all the criteria. And then we bring it forward, and it's with discussions with Urban Development Department, and bring it here.
Okay, and then I have one other question. When the study area was laid out, I see that it covers the front portion of the Loeffler Middle School, and I was curious if Lincoln Public Schools was involved in the conversation, and if they have an opinion on part of their property being within the blight district.
They've been provided notice. They have notice of the hearing and the blight study, so they have notice of that. I am not aware of any comments, positive or negative. And really, the key, the purpose there is catching that entire 48th Street corridor. But they would have notice, and I have not heard anything. I'm not aware of any comments, positive or negative.
Right. Thank you very much.
Any further questions?
Nope.
Okay, seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I believe you said that there was a Christine?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing us to be here. My name's Christy Henricks. I'm president and CEO at Tabitha. Am I supposed to give their address?
You can.
4720 Randolph Street. We are excited about this project. We hope you are too. I know many of the community members that we've engaged are very excited. I think probably everyone in this room knows Tabitha well and knows that we have a rich history of really addressing gaps that exist within communities and then stepping into them if it's something that we can do with expertise. So what we're doing is envisioning a first of its kind intergenerational living community. And this will be a home to seniors who are 65 or older. And then we invited Bryan Health Sciences, School of Health Sciences, to be our collaborator on this particular project. And so Bryan Health Science students will be invited to live in the community as well. And so it will be intergenerational living by design. And we're guessing that the ratio will probably be maybe around 110, 100 or so seniors, and then 20 or so students. Reminding ourselves we're here largely to serve seniors, so that's how we're setting that up. We have, it was driven really by three things. The loneliness epidemic, which, as you know, COVID really drove up and created great community awareness so that we're not the only ones talking about it now, but it's worsened. And we want to be able to step into addressing the lack of moderately priced housing for seniors and older adults. And then clearly a shortage of healthcare workers. And working in senior care is not always a young person's first choice. So we hope exposing them to the rewards of the work with seniors is motivating to them. So first, loneliness. Studies that were published by AARP and Cigna find that more than 3 in 5 Americans are lonely. 43% of seniors report being lonely. This may or may not come as a surprise, but 63% of college-age students. Most people are surprised by that. Staggering to hear. Loneliness is found to be more damaging to our health than obesity or smoking, 15 cigarettes a day, and has, as we well know, led to death in many cases, some by our own hand. It is also something that drives significantly up the cost of health care. And so we're trying to be able to mitigate that somewhere before we get to that point. We are designing the Synergen to bring seniors and students together, and what we imagine is that each of them contribute to the well-being of the other. So I know that I'm barely able to use my own cell phone anymore, and I'm not to 65 plus yet, and I need my kids' help, and I'm sure they'd be glad to have someone else be the one to help me with it. The need, that's just one example, right? So you understand. Of course, you know the demand and need for moderately priced housing. We have a lot of luxurious independent living for seniors within our community. We're blessed with that. But those who are falling through the cracks are actually those with incomes that would not allow them to afford that kind of high, richly filled amenity housing. So this is a coordinated plan that we want to make sure has design and programming that keeps it affordable. We are targeting median income. 91% of our rental rates are falling within the moderate income rate as specified through the 2021 HUD moderate income limits. We're establishing Tabitha as a nonprofit and committed to ensuring that anyone who exceeds the resources is still cared for by us. We are also establishing a fund on our own and a system to subsidize rents should a senior's income become depleted or change while living with us at the Tabitha Intergen. Their apartment buildings will be well equipped and spacious, but not luxuriously sized, or some of them are very small. That is also by design. Part of the intergenerational community is that it is built with a lot of shared space. And the reason that we invested the money into that is we want people out of their rooms. That's how you create community. The community meals will not have regular dining. They'll be supported by well-equipped common spaces. And again, the idea is that they come together and break bread and teach each other one along the way. And then regarding the healthcare workforce needs, Lincoln's 2040 Comprehensive Plan acknowledges that the number of of people aged 65 and older is continuing to increase significantly. Unfortunately, the age group of 18 to 64, those who would normally care for us, that is not going to keep pace. The caregiver support ratio will decrease by nearly 40% during that period of time. So COVID, again, mentioning it, has really increased our risk of having insufficient numbers of caregivers. And so we are hoping that we were one step ahead in terms of bringing an innovative strategy to engage young nursing and other health sciences people. We believe that the experience and deep relationships that come from living at Tabitha will benefit them for their future professions, even if they don't choose senior care. This is compassion at its finest. And you'll know whether you're cut out for it after you live under the same roof. So we are excited about the work. Just a few comments that have been made from one from a 98-year-old gentleman who has been working for me, as he tells everyone, as he's joined me along this path of putting the project together. I've lived a tremendous life. To be able to share that with someone that is willing to listen and be attentive is really important. And then we have spoken with someone, a younger person who lived in a different sort of intergen relationship or setting, and her comment was the relationships are very deep, much deeper than I expected. We also did ask, was that maybe to stop?
You got more time.
Okay. We also did ask that Brian partner with us from their research perspective. So we have already begun to do research on this so that we can demonstrate that it's that it will meet the outcomes that were identified, so that hopefully we can replicate this and share it with the world so that they can replicate it as well. Then the other thing that I think is important to know is that we're building on our campus so that this helps people age in place, so that the services are just a block away from them, and that we're already engaged with them throughout their aging process to be proactive, to keep them out of the hospital and give them supportive wraparound services right where they call home. I'm wordy. That's why they had to write this out for me. I could go on and on. So questions, is that what I say next?
Are there any questions for Ms. Hendricks?
No questions.
Councilwoman Washington?
Actually, I have a nerdy question about AMI. So you said that adjusted median income, you said that your apartments are going to be set up for 60 to 80% AMI for each of the seniors who apply to live there. Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, will the students also have to fall within the AMI of 60 to 80%?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Apartments.
For the apartments?
The apartments do, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Ms. Hendricks?
No questions.
Okay, seeing none.
Thank you.
Okay, so we had the opening. We're going to move into the public hearing portion of it. The public is invited to speak. You have 5 minutes, and when you come up, please state your address. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to speak on this application? Okay, seeing none. Anyone else wishes to speak on this item? All right, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 3F is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for September 1st through September 15th, 2021.
Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this item? Okay. One statement just to make, Mr. Chris, the one that we delayed this for, he said he would try to make it, but he said if he was not able to, that would be fine, and just asked us to review our email that he had sent to us to see if we were willing to move on his claim. So it looks like he's not here. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on. Councilwoman Washington?
And should we at least address the claims that Mr. Chris made? Should we have Director Elliott come forward? Would that be helpful?
If you would like to do that, we can definitely do that. Director Elliott, will you please come up?
When we vote on the item?
Yeah.
Let's wait till we vote.
Okay, we'll wait.
We can ask questions now out of staff if you would like to ask questions, but then we can have the discussion at the time of the vote. So if we want to ask questions, now would be the appropriate time to do that.
Thank you. Director Elliott, thank you for coming forward. I think you saw Mr. Chris's email, same as we did, and he had asserted that his vehicle was damaged by city property, and though it wasn't paint, he said it was a scraping. Could you please address that?
Absolutely. And I have a few photos that might help as we walk through this. Okay. This is the photo of my understanding from the claim is Mr. Christ's car. And as we can see the white stripes here, that is the damage of where that is. You can also see here the outlines of two lines real close to it. This is where the broom would have been. So the outer edge of the broom was about a foot away from Mr. Christ's car. And what happens on these trucks is there's the broom, and when it's in sweeping mode, you can see it's about 12 to 18 inches out from the truck. So in order for the truck to hit this, it would have, when the broom was making this, the truck actually would have been about 24 inches towards the center of the street and would not have been close to that. The broom, when it is down sweeping, and this is down from the ground up, is only about 10 inches high. So if the broom was in action as indicated by Mr. Christ, the damage to the vehicle actually would have been to his tires, and the broom would have caused significant damage to both of his driver's side tires on that. When the broom is up and in transport mode, meaning they're driving down the street, it is lifted up and it's pulled in a little bit. It still extends from the truck about 6 to 10 inches. So, but it also does not come as high as the door of Mr. Christ's vehicle would have been. The other thing with these trucks is they're not like our snow plows where it's all metal and heavy duty. This is all fiberglass, and so any damage, if the truck body would have collided with the car or rubbed against the car, there would have been damage to our truck on this. As you can see, there's a lot of hoses that stick out. We have some lights that stick out as well. They are all white trucks as well. We did inspect our truck that was on there because we did have GPS on it. Obviously, we have the marks on the street, so we know we were there. So we did check that truck, and there was no damage to that sweeper truck out there. Unfortunately, I think it's just a bad coincidence that our sweeper truck was going on the road on the same day approximately as when this vehicle sustained damage. I sympathize for Mr. Chris because clearly his vehicle was damaged, but based on the evidence and everything that we have here, it wasn't our sweeper truck that caused the damage to this vehicle. Any damage would have been in the wheel and tire area, not that high up on driver's side door. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any further questions for Director Elliott?
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last call, anyone want to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
We can now vote on our items. Item 3A is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Amalgamated Transit Union for a term effective August 19th, 2021 through August 31st, 2024, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 3B is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the International Association of Firefighters for a term effective August 19th, 2021 through August 31st, 2023, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 3C is approving the labor contract between the City of Lincoln and the Lincoln M-Class Employees Association for a term effective August 19th, 2021 through August 31st, 2022, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 3D is Comprehensive Plan Conformance 21017, application of the Urban Development Director for a proposed amendment to the Wayuka redevelopment plan that identifies the Gatehouse Rose redevelopment project for the construction of 98 affordable residential units on property generally located between Vine and O Streets, east of 36th Street, and west of the Wayuka Cemetery, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion, Mr. McGinnis?
Yes, Director Marvin, all this is a comprehensive plan amendment, correct? It's not anything to do with the redevelopment agreement. It will still be coming, okay.
Finding of conformance.
Okay.
Any further discussion from the council? Okay, seeing none, Mayor, please call the roll.
I believe I have a motion to amend on this item. Oh, excuse me, I'm ahead. I apologize. Sorry. Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. My apologies on that. Item 3E is miscellaneous 21010, application of the Urban Development Director, declaring the South 48th Street corridor redevelopment area generally located on South 48th between L and A Streets, along with the Tabitha Senior Care Campus as blighted and substandard, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and please call the roll. Oh, Councilman Schob.
Where's the motion to amend? This is.
So,
Yes.
yeah, I'll go ahead and make the motion to amend. Hereby move to amend Bill 21R-448 by removing from the blighted and substandard area those parcels located adjacent to the west side of South 46 between R and Randolph, and replacing attachment A with the substitute attachment attached thereto. Once again, for the general public, this is the removal of the parcels that the neighbors wanted identified and removed from the blight study, but having no significant impact on the blight study itself.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Beckius, seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion on the motion to amend?
No.
Okay, seeing no discussion on the motion to amend, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, now back to the main motion. Any further discussion on the main motion? Councilman Beckius?
I would just like to say with this finding of blight in substandard conditions that thank you to Tabitha for engaging neighbors throughout this process. I know engagement will continue going forward, and I'm looking forward to seeing what could be when it comes to intergenerational housing on a senior care facility campus. So, looking forward to it.
Any further discussion on the motion or on the main motion? All right, seeing none, let's go ahead and move on. Please call the roll.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 3F is accepting and approving the report of new and pending claims against the city for September 1st through September 15th, 2021, introduced by McGinnis.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Beckius. Any discussion?
You have a motion to amend?
I'd like to, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to offer a motion to amend to add back to the denied claims Benjamin Chris case. That was poorly worded, but I think you understand what I mean.
Second her motion.
Moved by Councilwoman Washington, seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Okay, seeing none, let's go ahead and vote on the motion to amend.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob, Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Now back to the main motion. Any discussion on the main motion? Okay, seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Okay. That concludes our public hearing resolutions. We'll move on to our public hearing ordinances, second reading and related resolutions. I'll be calling item 4A and 4B together. Change of zone 21031, application of Anderson Homes, Inc. from AGR Agricultural Residential District to R3 Residential District on property generally located at 2701 West A Street, and the related conditional zoning agreement between the city and Anderson Homes, Inc. for the property generally located at 2701 West A Street.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Mike Eckert with Civil Design Group, 8535 Executive Woods Drive, Suite 200 here in Lincoln. Pretty straightforward change of zone here. A little infill project out there between West A Street and the street to the south being Washington Street. This is currently zoned AGR, and it is just a desire to get the change of zone to R3 to fit the existing neighborhood and allow it to be prepared for future plating. The positive for the city here also is it does remove one access drive that was onto A Street that would have otherwise had to stay if this site was not redeveloped. So yeah, we just have the change of zone in front of you and the conditional zoning agreement and ask for your approval.
Any questions for Mr. Eckert at this time? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Item 4C is approving the real estate purchase agreement between the city and 4D Properties LLC for sale of city-owned property generally located at 1301 South 120th Street.
Dan Marvin, Urban Development, 555 South 10th Street. This is an unusual one because we were here, Donna was here earlier to talk about this. This is a place where we trenched next to a house, and as part of the process, we acquired the property and then put it up for sale. And when we were here a couple of months ago, the sale proceeds were $230,000. Subsequent to that, there was a $1,000 earnest deposit. Subsequent to that, the buyer did not go through with the purchase. We never did close. So we put the property back out on the market, and we received a number of offers on that one, and the amount of increase was from $230,000 was what we were here before, and now the offer before you is $250,000. So did better by waiting, but that was not our intent.
Any questions for Director Marvin? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak on this item? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on.
Okay, we'll move to Section 5, Ordinances, third reading and related resolutions. Item 5A is amending Lincoln Municipal Code, Section 2.76.155, Compensation Plan Longevity Pay, to remove the reference to M classifications and adjust annual pay for all levels of longevity pay for unrepresented W classifications by amending Section 2.76.380, sick leave with pay to remove limit for family sick leave usage, and repealing Sections 2.76.155 and 2.76.380 as hereto existing, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5B is amending the pay schedule for the employee group whose classifications are assigned to the pay range prefixed by the letter A by changing title from Community Development Program Specialist to Urban Development Program Specialist, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5C is amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by E, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5D is amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by W, introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Washington,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5E is amending the pay schedule for a certain employee group by adjusting the schedules of annual, monthly, biweekly, and hourly pay range equivalents for employees of the City of Lincoln whose classifications are assigned to pay ranges prefixed by X. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5F, approving the one-year lease between City of Lincoln Aging Partners and Blue Valley Community Action for the lease of office space in Crete, Nebraska for $290 per month beginning October 1st, 2021. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Beckius.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5G is approving the amendment of lease agreement between LPD Ave LLC and the City of Lincoln to extend term lease for an additional 9-month period with option to extend an additional 3 months for property located at 4843 Huntington Avenue. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5H is approving an amendment to the Lead Place Residence Redevelopment Agreement between Lead Place LLC and the city relating to the redevelopment of property generally located at south of 8th Street between 11th and 12th Streets. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman Schob. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Schob.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5I is amending the fiscal year 21-22 CIP to authorize and appropriate up to an additional $716,000 in TIF funds for the Lead Place Residence Redevelopment Project. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
McGinnis.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Washington.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. Item 5J is authorizing the issuance of tax allocation bonds for the Lead Place Residence Redevelopment Project. Introduced by Beckius.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Seeing none, may we please call the roll?
Washington.
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Beckius.
Yes.
Schob.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0. That concludes our ordinance's third reading and related resolutions. Next is our ordinance's third reading and the motion to reconsider.
Mr. Chairman, last week we voted on something which I believe we need to reconsider, and so I am offering that motion to,
Make the motion.
I'm making a motion to reconsider.
Second.
Thank you.
Moved by Councilwoman Washington, seconded by Councilman Schob. Councilwoman Washington?
Yeah, last week, in discussing the ordinance about catalytic converters and salvage material, we were moving, I think, a little too quickly, and I would like us to reconsider that and bring it back for a vote. So let's talk about that one to begin with.
Councilman Schob?
Mr. Chair, I'm confused. Could we have the city attorney come up and explain to me what the heck is going on?
That would be great. Thank you.
Johansi Christie, City Attorney, 555 South 10th. I will do my best.
What is going on?
I'm sorry?
What is going on?
Yes, I will do my best. The motion to reconsider the procedure is actually laid out in the Council Rule 3-12, which talks about how to handle a motion to reconsider. Only the prevailing side may move to reconsider. The bill that is being addressed today is Bill number 21-89, which was actually unanimous, so all of you were on the prevailing side. So anyone may make that motion according to the rules. 4 votes are required to take up the motion to reconsider. So the first step is to vote on the actual motion to reconsider. Then 4 votes are required to take final action on the motion to reconsider. So that would be the next vote. Final action on the motion to reconsider could happen today, or it could happen at such other future meeting as may be determined by the council. Then lastly, so everyone I think understands, when a motion to reconsider is pending, all action authorized by the motion being considered, which is the ordinance, Bill 21-89, will be suspended until the result of the reconsideration is decided.
Any further questions for Mr. Christie? Okay.
No, I appreciate the explanation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any further discussion on the motion to reconsider? Okay, seeing none, may we please do the roll call?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob, Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Councilwoman Washington?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Given that we've just voted to reconsider, I'm going to ask that we delay our vote until next week. So I think there are still a couple of things that need to be worked out by the parties involved in this, and I'd like to give them one more week to work out the final wording, and then I'd like us to vote next week. So that's my motion my motion is to hold this until final action until next week's regular meeting.
Second.
Okay, moved by Councilwoman Washington, seconded by Councilman McGinnis. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, may I please call the roll?
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to the next item.
That should do it, shouldn't it?
Our next item would be our resolutions. First reading are items 6A through 6G. Ordinances first reading and related resolutions are items 7A through 7M. Our pending list is items 8A through 8C.
Tonight is a public comment session. Anyone wishing to address the council on a matter not on this agenda and not planned to appear on a future agenda may do so at this time. Individuals are allowed a total of 5 minutes to speak regardless of the number of topics. Is there anyone here that would like to speak to the council? And just please state your name and your address.
Lori Benson, 7100 Holmes Park Road in Lincoln. I'm chairman of the Climate Action Team at First Plymouth Congregational Church. The Climate Action Team really appreciates the fact that it took courage and determination for the council and the mayor to adopt a climate action plan earlier this year. We wanted to say thank you, so we created a thank you card, and yesterday between services, we invited the First Plymouth community. Pardon me?
This never happens.
I know, right? So we created a thank you card, and yesterday between services, we invited people in the First Plymouth community to join us in signing it. And so it's my privilege this evening to say thank you to you with this. And the thank you part reads, "Thank you for adopting the Lincoln Climate Action Plan. It's a great first step toward a more climate responsible Lincoln. We encourage you to incorporate the plan in all relevant future actions." And I have to tell you how many people said, "Thank you for doing this," while we were collecting signatures yesterday. So I'm not sure what to do with it now, but.
The city clerk, Sony, will take it for you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
We're going to hang that up. Thank you so much. That's very,
Now
very
part of the public record.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Benson.
Thank you. That was really sweet. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to the council?
Any other thank yous?
Is there anybody else?
Anyone else like to speak to the council? Okay.
Seeing none, I would like to move for adjournment.
Second.
Moved by Councilman McGinnis, seconded by Councilwoman Washington. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Washington,
Yes.
Schob,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Yes.
Beckius,
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
We stand adjourned.